What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dom. We are back with another video. We got to talk about the draft today. I know that a couple of things have been happening since the last time I made the video. Of course, the last video was the Raptors winning the championship video. Check that out if you haven't had a chance to. But yeah, I really wanted to get into the Knicks more specifically and the draft. Of course, they drafted RJ Barrett at number 3. Yeah, Zion went number 1, Ja went number 2. We know about them, and those are really the only 3 players that I currently care about, because I don't know much else about the other players that were drafted besides the top 3. But specifically, I wanted to focus on the Knicks because a lot of things have happened now. As I think about Knicks free agency this summer and maybe even potentially next summer. So before I get to the draft, I also wanted to get my thoughts out on that, and let me know what you think about that in the comment section. When KD went down with the injury, the Knicks' hopes of really getting anybody just went down completely. It changed the whole free agency landscape now, because now what's going on is you have a KD. Of course, the AD trade ended up happening as well. So for right now, he's not out of the picture yet, but it's very unlikely that we're gonna see AD. Depending on the season he has with the Lakers, well, he'll probably get really close to winning a championship. So that would probably encourage him to stay with LeBron. KD going down is interesting because I always believed that had KD stayed healthy, first of all, of course they would have won. But because they would have won, it would have given KD more of a reason to leave. You know what I mean? So if it gave Katie more reason to leave, there is the Knicks' opportunity to sign him with somebody else this summer. Like, you got to be realistic with the New York Knicks right now. The probability that KD would leave after suffering a devastating injury to go to New York, sit out the whole year, and basically be like, okay, I'm not going to play, but you know what? I really want to be here for next season. See what you guys can do. Like, it doesn't make any sense because you don't even know what the Knicks are. Why would KD put that much stress on himself to try and come back and expected to immediately carry the franchise? Not even know how healthy he's gonna be. When he comes back. So these are all things you got to consider. The remaining free agents that are notable talking about, for example, Kyrie Irving looks like he wants to go to Brooklyn, and of course you want to go to Brooklyn. They're a way better team than Knicks are right now. Realistically, why would Kyrie come to New York? Especially if KD isn't likely to come now. That leaves Jimmy Butler. Do you really? What are we gonna do with Jimmy Butler? Yeah, he's a complimentary player, but he's not a player that I would want to build my team around. And that is the reality of the Knicks situation. So drafting RJ Barrett, as we get into the draft now, is really more of a we're still building with our young guys type of move. And of course, you had to draft RJ. And hey, don't get me wrong, RJ Barrett. They said his comparison was DeMar DeRozan. I like this game. I didn't love his game. But you don't know. The college to pro transition is always a little different. He can turn out to be a very, very good player. Like you know how Jason Tatum came along, and this might actually be good for the young Knicks core because with another young player like RJ, it will give him and Knox especially a chance to really develop their chemistry. Remember, they got a good young team. They just need some guys who can close it out for them. KD would be perfect, but I'm not gonna be here and convince myself that, oh, don't worry, we'll get KD next year. You don't know that. The Warriors are obviously gonna match the extension for KD, whatever the 5 year, however million he's gonna get, and that's the truth because they kind of owe KD now because they messed up. They messed up by letting him play injured, and all of this nonsense happens. And I'm sure a lot of things are going to be coming out of the Warriors camp too. I'm talking about how this was such a foolish mistake, really, because I didn't think that they really needed KD to win, but they needed Clay though, and Clay went down too. And they learned their lesson with Clay. So you see the dynamic of things that sometimes it might not be the way you expect everything to go, but it changed everything because look, AD got traded right away. AD got because the Pelicans are trying to build, Lakers are trying to recruit. They don't have some guards right now, but they need at least another guard. I don't know if they can get Kemba, but that's what it is. I just wanted to really throw out the overall perspective and how this really does affect the Knicks. Because right now it doesn't look like anybody's coming to New York. Like who would be coming to New York at this point? And that's the truth. So all you can do now is we drafted RJ, and we're gonna keep building. We gotta keep building these young guys, and hopefully eventually they stand a chance to maybe become some type of playoff team. I would not be shocked if RJ ended up being a nice surprise this year. I would not be surprised because it's often the guys who don't really shine in college. Like they'll play decent in college. But the NBA is really a next level. And a lot of analysts are saying that as well, that RJ is the more complete player over Zion. We don't know. Zion's game is hard to gauge on what he'll be in the NBA. He's not going to be LeBron James, let's be honest. He just looks strong. That's why people said that Zion could be LeBron. But in the NBA, it's different. You're going to have to be able to take the ball to the hoop a lot more efficient, even though he's a lot stronger. But, that can be guarded. There are way better guards in the NBA than there are in college. That's one. And, of course, his shooting, everybody talks about his shooting sometimes being suspect. So we'll see what happens with that. Quickly on Ja Morant, honestly, I would have not been mad. Let somehow RJ gotten picked before the Knicks had the chance to. So exactly at number two, and we would have gotten Ja. I like Ja Morant a lot. He's a very good point guard, and I started learning about him maybe a couple months before the tournament, and he was kind of still under the radar, before he had these great games that he had in the NCAA tournament. I'm telling you, that kid could be a great NBA player. But of course, some people are not sold, and nobody is. Nobody was sold on Steph. Look what Steph became. You know what I mean? So we could never truly analyze for 100% certain. But from what I see from that kid's game, he has potential. So let's see, who did he get drafted by? He got drafted by the Grizzlies. Grizzlies should be happy with that. Should be really really happy with that. Um, and this is like my notable NBA news. Of course, we know about the Mike Conley trade as well. Man, what's happening now in the NBA is we're starting to see that reshuffle. We're starting to see teams are trying to prepare for a weakened Warriors in the West, and some people might not agree and say, oh, the Warriors be right back next year. We'll see, man. We'll see, because now, for example, trade such as Mike Conley, for example, is really going to give the NBA landscape a whole different perspective in the West. Because the Utah Jazz now are looking like a very strong team. You know what I mean? And we don't even know what Donovan Mitchell can do. Trust me. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the West, because the West is completely changing now. We'll see what happens. But the East right now, as long as Kawhi doesn't leave, and I haven't even mentioned that boy because he was all over my last video. As long as Kawhi doesn't leave, the Raptors will maintain dominance in the East. But hey, you don't know what Kawhi is gonna do either. He can easily be like, you know what? I don't owe Toronto anything, and I'm gonna go to the Clippers, making the West stacked, making Giannis pretty much the king. And the Knicks, my Knicks, we'll see what happens with them. I'm not that optimistic right now, realistically, from a fan perspective of really getting anybody this year. But hey, I'm still hearing that KD really wants to come, so we'll see what happens with that. But let me know in the comment section, do you think the Knicks drafted the right person on draft night? Do you think we're still going to get any notable free agents? What did you guys see that you wanted to talk about yourself? It's your boy Don. Always let me know in the comment section. Like, comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time, man. Peace. I'm out.